Welcome everybody. First things first, as always, if I could just get a quick audio visual check, please. Let me know you can see my charts clearly and hear me all right by letting me know how your day is going so far. How's everyone feeling about the markets today? Very curious to get your guys' thoughts. You guys know a lot of you guys are probably sick of hearing it by now. Just me being bearish all the time. But yeah, curious to see what your thoughts are about yesterday, because yesterday we did have a nice bounce. But yeah, I'm going to talk about both. All clear. Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, guys, basically let's get into it. We recently saw a decent bounce from Bitcoin and other crypto in the last day or two, but will this bounce actually stick? Or is this just another liquidity grab before another push to the downside? Honestly, guys, I know a lot of you guys are probably sick of me being bearish at this point. And to be fair, this bounce that we got yesterday was the first time I'm willing to admit I do see some strength in quite a while. And that's because of my 4-hour chart here. I wouldn't exactly say that we are in the clear yet. But, I'm at least willing to give credit where credit is due, that, hey, you know what? We found a little bit of support here on the 4-hour. And you guys know that I'm just bringing this up right away because I know I've been talking on my previous streams about one of my favorite indicators here, the MDX Algo Trendmaster indicator. And we have been struggling with this resistance that it pointed out for almost 2 weeks now. I think it's been 11 or 12 days or whatever. Basically, ever since we got that obvious reaction off the Stuber fib, which we were well ready for that situation there. But ever since getting that, we've just been testing this indicator basically as resistance. Now, you guys, we are actually trading above this resistance this indicator is pointing out. And we are, it's looking like we might be flipping it into support. It has not changed to pink buy signal yet. And I do have my concerns with that even if we do get a buy signal here, you guys, it would be a significantly lower buy signal. And honestly, what I would be expecting is some sort of a push to the upside at that point and just basically setting a lower high. I don't know, happy to be wrong on this, but the way I'm seeing this right now is, and I know I talked about this in my previous stream on the 4-hour, we already got the bullish Stuber fib set up. We have not tested this bearish one yet. We don't have to. You guys in my Telegram, you guys know I point out a lot of Stuber fibs on the 5-minute and stuff like that. And sometimes they don't play out. Sometimes you don't even get the opportunity to get your entries there. Sometimes it gets front run, right? But basically what I'm expecting, since it hasn't been tested yet, if we do get some sort of a nice bounce and a nice push to the upside, I would expect us to basically face some resistance there around 103 up towards 105,000 US dollars. And even above that, guys, there is some more resistance up ahead, right? I would say that the lower high is around here, right around 106.5K. And obviously we have our all-time high resistance around 110K. So there is more resistance. It's just that if the bears are taking full control and we are going to have a strong downtrend, I would basically expect us to set some sort of a lower high at this level here. So to see that we're seeing weakness before even, shooting directly up there, even back here when we got that initial pump, I was expecting it to go a little bit higher. I took that head short anyways, which I'm still in, by the way, from 101,626 US dollars. I do still have a chunk of my head short open from that from almost 2 weeks ago at this point. That was just based on a 5-minute higher low structure loss, just looking for a reason to hedge myself in case this bounce wasn't going to stick. And right now, I'm happy I did because I've taken profits on that position. And it's just, I got the rest running, risk-free, nice hedge to be in, because if this floor gives out, a lot of people are going to panic and I will be positioned for it. So no complaints there. You guys, basically on this immediate downtrend here, the very micro structure, I'm just going to remove a few things here. Let me just just going to take off this color here. Going to take off the Trendmaster, just a naked chart here on the very micro swing here, even on the 4-hour, just the current downtrend ever since we got that bounce. Just looking at this structure, and yes, this is just wicks, so take it for what it is. But this is basically the last point on this ever since finding our top here. This was our last low and our lowest low. So our highest point between the two was this level here. And that's the level I was talking about in the Telegram as well, that, you know, if Bitcoin's able to break above that, I think there's a good chance that we end up testing this resistance up here eventually. But right now, the way it happened is, unfortunately, it was not a close above, right? It is looking weak, even though we got that little push above. It looks more like a swing fail pattern, a bit of a liquidity grab above that resistance, and, you know, just a sign of weakness. So I really, at this point, yes, it's a nice sign of strength that we even got above this level. But like I said, I just don't think we're in the clear, because that is a sign of weakness, in my opinion. The fact that the candle never closed above. I just have a feeling that we're going to test back down into the lower end of this range. And if that happens, I mean, with that weakness on the hourly chart that I've been talking about for weeks, you know, it could be an issue. That being said, obviously, the weekly chart, you know, as it stands right now, actually a green candle. I'm pretty surprised that it's even holding on as well as it is. And, you know, the weekly candle is tomorrow evening. So there's still quite a bit of time. Anything can happen between now and then. But I do have my concerns about that weekly chart still. And that lining up with the 4-hour showing weakness just gives me some concerns in the market. Right now, if I'm looking at the very micro time frames, you guys know I love looking at the 1 minute and stuff like that. Yeah, there's going to be opportunities to see bounces and stuff like that. But I myself have been still just mainly playing the short side of things. Those of you in the group, you know that I've been, even though I am shorting, I have been very vocal about the fact that I'm shorting. I'm very aware that I'm shorting into support levels, but that's why I am basically taking trades on the 1 minute or the 5 minute, losing high or low structure, just like I did with my hedge up here. I've been doing that on Trump, Litecoin, Bitcoin, or have been basically the main coins I've been trading the last few days. But that's basically what I've been doing. I've been waiting for the 1 minute or the 5 minute to break high or low structure, and then getting into some scalp shorts with some very tight stop losses. And quite often I'm taking the scalp profits on a quarter to half of the position, and then the rest is getting stopped out at break even, just because I'm playing it so cautiously, because I understand that it's possible we get these bounces. But a lot of the bearish plays I've been making have been very tight invalidations and very nice moving positions. So one that I actually talked about this morning, guys, was Bitcoin, or Litecoin rather. From my blue dotted line here, that's where I'm short from, at $133.68 USD. My reasoning for that was basically I was looking at more of even a swing opportunity here, you guys. I was looking at a fib pull actually on the 4-hour here. Looking at the structure on the 4-hour, I was looking for any reasons why, because I saw Litecoin was actually pumping quite nicely. So I was like, is there any reason why I shouldn't be shorting this bounce, basically? Because you guys know that I'm looking at shorting bounces right now. What I saw when I zoomed out on the 4-hour is this was my previous low, and this is my lower low. The highest point between the two is right here. So if I pull my fib from there, notice we're trading right in the 786, 886 fib pocket. So yeah, it's possible that we end up blasting right through, but at the end of the day, we are at resistance, right? So I was looking for reasons to go short on this. I started laddering into a short, and I talked about it in the Telegram channel. And then I had also mentioned that as far as looking for a scalp entry, this is where I had mentioned in the Telegram chat that basically we were trading down here. And I said, for those looking for more of a scalp entry, I would just basically, since we had this little structure break up here, I have this little red line up here. Yes, it's micro analyzing. Yes, it's microstructure, but just looking for a reason on the 1 minute that, hey, we lost some sort of high or low structure. From there, I would just start pulling my fib from the high at that point, and then just chasing the price, and then just waiting for that pullback to the 786, 886. So I actually ended up starting my position down here, and then I did ladder into my position more at the 786, 886, and the 1 fibs. So I managed to pull my entry up to just below the 786. Honestly, if I treated it as just that scalp entry, my average entry would have actually been probably a little bit higher than the 886 is typically how it would work with laddering in. So I would have actually had a better entry, but I just wanted to make sure I had some in. So I actually dropped my entry a little bit there. But yeah, guys, let me actually just find this here for you guys. Yeah, how is everyone else feeling about the markets? I just kind of want to get a overall feel. Is anybody in any interesting positions or anything like that? Sorry, just looking through a couple things here. Here we are. Yeah, guys, basically the few positions that I'm in right now, I have a couple of Bitcoin shorts open. Trump, I've actually been short. I never had the opportunity to share this. I did mention that even though Trump was pumping, I was basically looking for a reason at some sort of a higher low loss. Ended up getting one on the 1 minute. I was out and actually in a vehicle. I didn't really have time to share things. I did get into a nice little bit of a position there on Trump. And since then, we ended up getting the lower sell signals. Basically, my wave master printing these basically as we're going lower, more pivotal points, stuff like that. So to me, Trump is still in just a disgusting downtrend here. You can see my indicator, the trend master, showing a strong downtrend. That's generally what I use that indicator for. And this is just giving me confidence that this position is going to keep running. It's again one of those times, just like the 4 hour, if we get a buy signal at this point, I would assume that, hey, it's a lower buy signal. It's still going to be a bit of a sign of weakness. I would still be looking at taking some partial profits off my position just because it's a sign, at just any sort of a warning that, hey, maybe I should be locking in some profits. But still, the downtrend is looking pretty disgusting, and I will be looking at holding on to a chunk of my position there. Either way. So I think I still have about 40% of my position running here, just taking little bits of profits as we go here. And that's one of those times, you guys, where that's why I like those positions. And even though I know a lot of the scalps, half my position gets stopped at break even, whatever. This is how basically, even though I'm shorting and, shorting near support, kind of fighting the trend a little bit when it was getting that bounce yesterday, how I'm able to keep my risk very tight and keep a nice, very tight invalidation and catch a very nice move to the downside, right? Half my position, basically treating it as a scalp, and from there, hoping to catch a runner. But yeah, that's basically what I'm looking for with Litecoin, with that position I was talking about earlier, right? Basically, I got my scalp, I got my entries, I got my first two take profits. There goes half my position, and the other half can run from there. So basically, just to bring that up here, you guys, this Litecoin position I'm talking about, I actually did lay out well in advance on the private Telegram channel. For those of you guys who are active traders, there is a link down below, as well as this QR code to access my private Telegram channel, where I share my thoughts on the market overall, some of my trade setups I'm looking at, how I'm updating my risk, how I'm updating my positions, and all that sort of stuff. So if that's something that interests you, get in there. We've been getting some very nice calls in there for the size of risk on the positions, even the ones that haven't played out the odd setup. We're getting some very nice runners. This was another one from yesterday, just pointing out that we were at a Stuber fib on Bitcoin, took the scalp, and it turned into a runner, right? So just the same thing there. So absolutely beautiful. Called both of those out in real time in the Telegram channel. So do yourself a favor, scan that QR code, follow the steps down below to get involved with that. Yeah. Let me just catch up on the chat a little bit, you guys. I kind of went over the few things that I wanted to get out there in the open very quickly here. From here, let's get some tunes going for us, and let's watch some degenerate time frame charts. Everybody's favorite. Let's take a look at the 1 minute, the 5 minute, stuff like that, and just chill. You guys, if you have any altcoin requests you really want me to look at, let me know, and let me know what time frame as well. I understand not everyone's trading the 1 minute, not everyone's trading the 5 minute. I understand that there's a lot of people in here probably who want to trade more so the 1 hour or the 4 hour. I just like shorter time frames myself, but generally market structure, how I use my indicators and all that sort of stuff, I treat them the same, whether it's the 1 minute, the 5 minute, the 1 hour, the 4 hour, the weekly, all of it. So yeah, even if I'm not trading the same type of time frames that you like, there's still definitely some benefit here. So do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. If you like hearing my thoughts on the market, just seeing my level-headed approach. I know I'm not your typical get stuck in the echo chambers, say what everyone else is saying kind of a thing. So if you do appreciate that, hit that thumbs up. And yeah, let's get some tunes going here and we can watch some. Let's hop right over to the 1 minute chart on Trump right now, and I'll get some tunes going. I'll catch up on the chat. What can we do for music here? Let's start with Epic again. Get the degen blood. Seeing a few people in there bearish. That's a nice, refreshing surprise to me. Usually I'm all alone. Stu is a beast. Thank you, Jan. Much appreciated. Sam, smash that like button. Thank you, Sam. Always a treat to have you here, brother. Bull flag targets 106K. Yeah, you know what? And I could absolutely see that. Like I said, if we do break that resistance on Bitcoin, I think it's absolutely possible that we end up shooting to some more so my fib resistance, or even a little bit higher. That would be a perfect double top at this lower high here. And that lower high, that's actually that's mapped out by one of my indicators as well. So it's also agreeing with that. Algo Master indicator showing the exact same fibs I have pulled. So just it's nice to have that confluence there. I'm always a fan of basically doing my initial TA with a naked chart, and then I like to bring up indicators from there, looking for more of a second opinion. I always say market structure is number one. Sam is long on the 1 minute right now. Yeah, and you know what? What is the 1 minute? I noticed this Algo Master Super Fib got invalidated. I don't actually agree with that one as much. I like the bigger fib pull for this just because we already broke structure down here. As far as looking for a new scalp on Bitcoin, I'd be kind of looking at starting to ladder into a short up in this level. Obviously with Bitcoin lately, it might not even make it up to those levels, but that would be my ideal setup right now. Let's get something a little more gentle on the music here. Let's go with chill. Let's just chill. That's enough intensity. There we go. Yeah, Brandon C gets it. Good entries and tight stops can still make you a profitable trader. It's the only job I know besides a weatherman where you can get paid to be wrong 100%. And that's exactly what I was talking about with my scalps earlier, right? Yeah, if they turn into a running position like a couple of them have, fantastic. But even if my theories are wrong, you can still make money if you're reacting properly, right? And that's why I say every video, way more important to be able to react than predict. You know, I know a lot of people who are great analysts who have no idea how to trade. And I know a lot of very, very profitable traders who don't necessarily know what's going to happen, but they know how they're going to react if certain things happen. Fartcoin daily. All right, that's our first request here. Is it on BloFin? It is on BloFin. That's the chart I'm going to look at because that's what I'm trading on. And prices can vary slightly. There might be less. There's actually quite a bit of, not all the price history, obviously. That fib pull is obviously no good. I would have to go. Let's go to a different chart. So here's my concern with this chart is I totally understand that we are coming fairly close to some important support down here. My big problem with this chart is this would have been basically where we last would have had our nice, this is basically the order block that then ended up, bulls took control and ended up pushing us through these highs here. And we ended up losing that structure. And as soon as we broke down below that, we retested that old support as resistance. And we've been in a downtrend ever since that as well. That's rough, in my opinion. One thing to consider is, yeah, you know what? We might get a double bottom kind of a thing here. Absolutely. I see the possibility for that. But as far as which way the trend is going, that's a scary chart to me. And if the crypto market, if my bearish theories are correct, again, guys, they do not need to be correct. The market can do anything. It does not give a damn about my opinion. But if the market is going to correct further and my hunch, my gut feelings are correct, meme coins are going to get hammered. That's all there is to it. Again, we're going to have to see what Bitcoin does, but I have my concerns with this chart. Lumo, if I'm saying that right. I assume XC, and you said 4 hour? 4 hour, yes. See, here's a chart I can actually get behind this a little bit. Something that I do notice right away is I'm pretty sure we're right in a Stuber fib on the 4 hour. Because as far as this little downtrend, since we topped out and we formed this little downtrend here, if we're treating this as our low, our lower low, our lower high, we obviously have broken this level, right? So when I'm looking for a Stuber fib, there's the structure break I'm looking for, but rather than FOMOing into the pump right into resistance like what most traders like to do, we look for that pullback, right? So yeah, we're right around the 886 right now. So I don't mind that. Again, I know nothing about this coin or this project or anything. And I have no idea, if Bitcoin ends up falling off a cliff. I assume this would as well. But as far as looking at basic market structure, I like that that's sitting right in my pocket there. That's exactly what I would be looking for. But again, I'm not a fundamental guy, so I know nothing about that. Okay, I want to talk about that. Jan says, hidden bullish divergence on the weekly chart. Here's my concern with that, is I'm considering it a regular overextended bearish divergence. To each their own. This is just a very specific divergence that I've back tested a lot on the 4 hour and daily charts, and they have made some very big moves, and it's actually probably my best hit rate as far as reversal signals go, is that exact divergence. So when I see it with a double top formation on a weekly chart, I do take that quite serious. As well, the Wave Master indicator, I've been using this a lot more lately, and one thing that I do really appreciate about this is these reversal warnings, and that has happened basically right at these levels as well. I think that's a bit of a scary sign, because where did these happen last time? I mean, yeah, last time would have been back here. Not a huge deal. Yeah, there was obviously some volatility in there, but it did stay ranging. So yeah, obviously it's not going to be every time. But the last bullish one down here, for example, they can call some very big moves. So I just have my concerns. And this all goes back to what I've been saying about the weekly chart for weeks now, you guys, if not months. The difference is that I am totally okay and willing to be wrong about this. Whereas a lot of people who are very bullish right now are so emotionally attached to that idea and that opinion that they are not willing to be wrong. They don't have invalidations in mind or anything like that. Whereas basically what I'm getting at here is I think it's time to be cautious as we trade at resistance with significantly less strength. I know a lot of people consider this hidden hidden bullish divergence. I personally consider it a bearish one because the way I'm seeing it, yeah, I totally understand. A lot of people would say that, hey, we're cooling off kind of a thing, right? The price is just hanging out, getting a time-based correction rather than a price-based correction, and we're cooling off. I get that opinion. I totally understand that, but one thing to consider is when we're in a strong uptrend in a bull market, the price loves being in overextended territory, and the fact that we lost being in that territory concerns me. I would rather have us in overbought territory on the weekly chart rather than having this cool off, because to me, this looks more like, hey, we're at the same resistance with significantly less strength. Happy to be wrong about that. It could be either, honestly. I could be wrong about that, and that's where invalidations come into play, right? Because here's the thing, guys. I never sold most of my crypto. I sold a little bit just to be cautious. I'm more so my extremely bearish theories do not mean that if we go higher, I get wrecked. That is not what this means. What it means is that my spot bags would then recover nicely and they would start pumping to the upside. I would just change the direction that I'm actually trading with leverage, because I'm more concerned with the trading aspect of things rather than the investing side of things. Yes, I have my investments, but I'm more so approaching this when I'm talking about this and being bearish. That's from a trader's perspective, okay? That's very different from where I think this market's going in the long run. That's more so me just looking for reasons. Does it make sense to be trading the downside right now, or at least being cautious about the long side of things rather than FOMOing long into resistance with a bunch of leverage, which a bunch of people are doing every time they think Trump is doing something bullish? I want to see. My reasons for being very bearish is I made these bearish predictions at the start of this year and they haven't been invalidated. My reasoning for being so bearish is because nothing's changed. It's not that something crazy and new has happened. It's that nothing has changed. And I've been ready for this with a level head, right? All Bitcoin has to do to invalidate my bearish theories is set a new high. Then, we have a new confirmed high or low, whatever. We continue staircasing higher. Everybody's happy. The other thing that Bitcoin could do is get back into overbought conditions. If we do that, I'll be a full-on moon boy again with everyone else. Honestly, even if we would break this downtrend, I would prefer it to have a third touch point before that, though. I would honestly feel more bullish if it got a third rejection and then broke it and then got into overbought territory. Again, that would be the very first hint of my bearish theories being invalidated, in my opinion, would be that. So that's kind of what I'm watching for right now. Again, bringing up this wave master indicator on the weekly. So here's basically our high frequency trading bots that are basically pushing the price a little bit. Notice what else is happening as we're trading into this resistance. With our reversal warning, with our bearish divergence, high frequency trading bots are now pushing the price to the downside the last two candles here. There's just a few warnings, and it's not to say that the bearish theories can't be invalidated, you guys. It's just to completely turn a blind eye just because the fundamentals feel like the price should go up. If the fundamentals are going to make the price go up, we'll see the price start going up. That's all there is to it. Again, I think that right now there's room for some more upside, but yeah, we're going to have to see here. Actually, since I've been talking, I'll notice on the 1 minute, Trump got a buy signal. But again, notice we very quickly got a lower sell signal. Just look at how nice of calls that can make on the trend master so often. Even this one, that sell signal is slightly lower than this one. And you get that lower sell signal just basically just as a second opinion that, yeah, it makes sense. We're still trending strongly to the downside. And right now, another lower sell signal. So still a lot of weakness, in my opinion. I'm more interested in the 5 minute because I've been in this position for a while, and I'm not in a hurry to update my stop loss or anything at this point. What's the nearest structure I can see as far as looking for a scalp on Trump would be looking at the 5 minute right here. This is micro analyzing, but there's that potential resistance up here. Also lines up quite well with the trend master indicator. basically my reasoning for that is we have a low here and we pushed a little lower there. So our lower high there on the very immediate swing here. Micro analyzing the micro trend here. That's basically the current range that I see. If we end up getting some sort of a crazy reversal here, which absolutely possible, right? The 4-hour had an amazing pump on Trump yesterday. So yeah, it's possible we're just going back and retesting support, right? I had actually talked about this ahead of time, that I thought if we broke that structure that we had back here, was the level I was watching my last previous several streams. I said if we broke that, even if we are bullish, it would still make sense to pull back a bunch. So I don't know if this bounce, if that structure break is going to hold, if we're going to start an uptrend from here. Absolutely possible, right? We're at least seeing some sort of strength, some sort of structure break, some reason to be bullish on this coin at this point. That's the first time we've ever seen this. So in my opinion, it's actually a little bit concerning that this is the first time Trumpcoin has ever broken a lower high on the 4-hour. And it never really just took off with FOMO. It's actually pulling back. So is it a sign of weakness, or is it just coming back and doing a classic 4-hour Stuber fib test? I mean, we're going to have to see. I still have no interest in longing it myself, but I'm at least open to the idea that, yeah, it is possible that it recovers now. Or at least get some sort of a bounce to retest the top of the range, right? If we get some sort of a reversal, break this resistance, we start printing higher buy and sell signals on the trend master for a little bit, then yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. We would test the top of the range again. I'd be looking at something like so. And as always, that doesn't mean that we have to go up here. It's just, I'm just saying more so that if we go up there, that's a level I'd be interested in either reacting and shorting that level again, or at least seeing what the price starts doing at that level. It's just an obvious level of resistance for me that I would be interested in paying attention to, basically. Long live Bear Boy Stew. Long live Bull Boy Stew. That's right. For those of you here who don't know, Sam has been following me he's been in my streams now for probably about 2 or 3 years. So he knows that I can be bullish sometimes. I was a lonely bull after the FTX collapse. Everyone was giving me a hard time there too. And I can guarantee he remembers that. So it's interesting that a lot of the same people who are arguing with me about my bearish theories are some of the literally exact same people. A couple of them are literally the same people who were arguing with me when I was bullish near the bottom. So again, a little confluence, maybe. Ooh, Jan, good call. MicroStrategy. I will absolutely check out MicroStrategy. That is basically one stock that I'm interested in following. See, I actually have something mapped out here. Potentially found support in a Stuber fib there. I would actually personally say we should have a fib more like this, but that also happened. So yeah, I would say that is good to see. Actually, here, I'm just going to lay this out like a fresh Stuber fib. So basically, this would have been on this down tumble here. Just looking at the structure here, we had a low, lower low, lower high. We broke it, right? This was our bullish signal. That's where most traders like to FOMO into longs, because they figure that, hey, we broke resistance, therefore we're bullish now. Yes, I agree with that statement, but a lot of people think, hey, there's a bullish signal, I need to be long right now, rather than waiting for a fib pull or something, right? So even after this signal right here, I can almost guarantee you what happened. Yeah, see, we came down to the 786, perfect test, shot higher, new higher high, testing this whole, doing a fib pull ever since that pivotal point. And yeah, you can see right here, perfect 786 test again. The thing to consider here, you guys, is that this setup has actually played out already, because we did test the 786 and then we did test the 0.5 fib, which is my first target. support is support until it's broken. So yeah, not all hope is lost there, but just something to consider that may have played out already. But yeah, I like that you brought that up. I do like looking at MicroStrategy. If we do get a nice bounce from here, I would start looking for resistance up ahead, up at like 487 to 512, which you guys, from where it's trading right now, I mean, that's a 40% move to the upside. If it's going to, you know, blast through this range, basically. But like I said, it may have already played out already. That's actually very concerning to me as well. Like I was talking about with the trending signals, we recently printed a lower sell signal on the 4-hour on MicroStrategy, showing a little bit of resistance up ahead too, if we pull up to the upside. So yeah, I do have my concerns about MicroStrategy there at this point. Yeah, my AI charting tool's printing a lower high there. So generally what I would do, I would start looking for a bearish fib pull from there. So I mean, on the micro range, well, on the 4-hour micro range, resistance would be up at these fibs right here. Here, I'll just make a little box, a little boxy box. I would expect to see resistance up there if we end up getting a bounce. Actually, just curious, Algo Master. The Algo Master still, well, it has that same bullish one that I printed, right? So it is nice confirmation for that. I have a feeling that there's a bearish one from this pivot point loading. Just, I think that I spot them quicker than this indicator does usually. So I do think that we are going to see the bearish one load in the next few candles. We're going to have to see, but if we break above this high here, this lower high signal, I think it's absolutely targeting this fib pocket up here. But there's resistance before that for sure. Yeah, I can zoom out and check that all-time high. Where do you want to go? Weekly? You're talking about that, I assume? Yeah, exactly. And that lines up with that 4-hour bullish Stuber, right? So that's basically where we're at. But again, I'm more so trading when I trade. I shouldn't even say when I'm trading because I'm not trading stocks right now. But if I was trading this, like the way I trade crypto, I care more about recent price action than price action that far back. I mean, don't get me wrong. I agree 100%. That is a structural level. But just as far as actually taking trades, I'd be more so focused on looking at the 4-hour like this and playing more so the range that is currently active. But to each their own, right? Everyone has their own strategies. And guys, I can guarantee you we could have the same trend lines, the same, diagonal trend lines, horizontal lines, same patterns mapped out, same Fibonacci pulls, same indicators, absolutely everything the same. And I promise you we would trade this market completely different. So we could be looking at things the exact opposite and we could both be profitable. Hell, it could be the opposite as well. We could both be looking at things the opposite and we could both lose money, right? So it totally, again, it comes down to reacting being way more important than predicting, because it all depends what kind of a trading strategy you have and, what kind of a systematic approach you're taking. And guys, as mentioned, I do have my own private Telegram channel where I do post my thoughts on the market, just some of my trade setups, some of them live, some of them ahead of time, some of them are too late. But yeah, always posting in there, getting some very nice moving positions there. And the few that have not played out, they've always been very tight invalidation type of setups. So we are getting some good results in there, you guys. So if you are an active trader, There is the steps down below to join the free Telegram channel there, or scan the QR code there as well. See, Litecoin's still struggling. I understand a lot of people lately have been thinking that Litecoin looks quite bullish, but I kind of go over this in most of my videos that the bulls always look strongest at resistance, just like the bears always look strongest at support, right? And that's why people generally short into support and long into resistance, because of how it looks versus what's actually there. So the fact that we had this structure break back here, we have that lower low, you know, just as it stands right now, yeah, we still have resistance here. The only thing that does concern me about swinging at well, no pun intended, taking a swing on a short from this level is that, you know, technically we did test this fib pocket once here and we got very close to that 0.5 fib. So again, maybe that has actually played out already. But resistance is resistance until it's broken. And again, with the scalp entry setup that I had earlier, I was willing to take a swing at that. So like I said earlier, still have half that position running. Half of it I took in the range because I'm always playing the range first and hoping for a running position after that. I'm not banking on home runs. If you're only swinging at home run trades and you're not paying yourself, but you're taking losses here and there, I mean, it's going to dwindle your account down. So again, just playing those scalps, especially when, as I mentioned earlier, I do see a lot of high risk, a lot of risk on the short side of things as we were trading near 4-hour support. But that's why I was so vocal about updating my stop loss and taking partial profits very quickly on these scalp ranges. Hitting my scalp targets, and then if the other half of the position runs, great. You know, right now I have no stress on this position right here. I've already paid myself a little bit, and if this does take off like a 4-hour swing position, that is going to be a very nice position to be in. So that's kind of my thoughts there. Again, guys, if you appreciate this level-headed approach to how I look at the markets, no moon boy mentality, and I promise I'm not a perma bear, that will change someday. I promise. Just right now, I have been favoring the short side of things for the last couple of months. That's fine. That's just my personal trading bias right now. So yeah, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't. And USDT, that's just a random tab I have open right now. That is a very micro cap coin. I'm trying not to get into the total low cap coins here, but that one only has a market cap of like 1 million. There is rumors of some partnerships and stuff like that, so I took a nibble on it, but yeah, I'm not it's very low volume and stuff like that. So understand if you guys, that's something I want to talk about, just because sometimes I do get into lower cap coins and stuff like that. One thing to consider if you're ever buying those very low market cap, low trading volume coins, because there's the potential for very large returns on coins like that, understand that very small market orders will move the price on yourself. I know we're not used to being whales, but when you trade coins like that, you may feel like a whale because you accidentally cause slippage on yourself. So whenever you're trading with very low cap coins, guys, please make sure that you are doing very small buys. And honestly, I would avoid market buys altogether, because when the order books are thin like that on some coins, that's not that one specifically, that's just so many altcoins. That's honestly why I don't trade very many altcoins with leverage as well. I've traded some altcoins that I thought would have been totally fine to trade with leverage, and then I've got liquidated on positions just because of slippage. So that can happen, right? And the same goes for spot buying. Yes, with leverage, you can get hit with slippage and get liquidated. With spot buying, you can put a big buy order in with the market buy and accidentally cause a bunch of slippage on yourself. And all of a sudden your average entry is terrible, right? So be careful with that if you guys are playing on, you know, the lower market cap meme coins and stuff like that. This Litecoin position still looking good. We got a sell signal here on the 5-minute. It is a higher sell, so I'm willing to consider that, you know, it's possible that this is still an uptrend here. and that we do end up getting stopped out on the rest. This is one of those times, you guys, since I was looking at this on the 4-hour first, I actually, even though I've taken my first 2 take profits on this Litecoin short, I haven't touched my stop loss yet. It's still just above my local highs here. I still wouldn't take a loss on this position since I have paid myself. But I want to leave a little bit of wiggle room just because there's a potential bigger play there. And also because I have a few other positions on the go. That's more my swing trade setup there. Trump still looking weak. Bitcoin still looking weak. Just curious, actually. I might have caught this one a little late, but just looking at low here, lower high here. Oh, would you look at that? Where did we end up struggling with resistance there? Sorry, obviously that's a little bit late. That's Captain Hindsight. They obviously sneak past me too. Snuck one past me, but yeah, that's just this is just to show, if nothing else, you guys, still educational, because just showing you guys how normal that is. You know, how many people, like I was talking about before, you know, you break these lows, how many people would have been shorting into this breakout because they're thinking, oh, support broke, we have to go down now. No, those pullbacks are so normal, and it's so often that we test that fib pocket. Very, very helpful on reducing some risk when entering positions. So if you appreciate that little tip when entering positions, do me a favor, hit that like button, guys. Big favor, another stock, IBRX. I can do that for you. What do you say? IBRX, Immunity Bio. What kind of time frame you thinking? Probably more so a 4-hour or so. XMR, I'll check out XMR in a little bit as well. What do we got here? I just want to start with the naked chart first, as always. What do I see on IBRX here? First thing I notice is I do see reasons why it would push a little bit higher. It has broken a nice downtrend right here. Oh, whoops. Right here. I would say that was a nice shift in trend, just because we obviously had this range low, lower high. We ended up breaking it. So at least the downtrend has broken. On top of that, guys, we have this gap here, generally speaking. And I know it doesn't have to happen all the time. And I'm not much of a stock guy. I'm more so in crypto, and I don't watch gaps near as closely. I know there's CME gaps and stuff like that, but yes, they don't have to, but most often they eventually end up filling. And I think that alone is showing reasons why we would pump a little bit higher. On top of that, once we get moving like that and breaking that kind of structure, I honestly don't really see why it wouldn't test higher to the bigger fib pocket. Something like so. I think that's absolutely possible. Even looking, on the opposite side of things, obviously we had this resistance break. So if we looked at that bullish fib pull, so high, higher high, pull a fib from the lowest point between the two, and look where we ended up finding support. So guys, like, I know I say it all the time, like you can't make this shit up. You see that fib pocket so often, and the more you see it, the more you start to see it. And yes, sometimes it's going to be micro analyzing. Like I said, I pull up very small ranges sometimes and look at it, but on the larger time frames like this, I mean, it's just so obvious that, after big structure breaks, the market makers love pushing the price back to those levels, because even, considering every market move, no matter what type of time frame you look at, they're all basically market cycles, right? I mean, the weekly chart, the minute chart looks like a weekly chart. I mean, the minute chart looks like a daily chart. They all kind of look the same. They all have bubble pops, kind of a thing. So basically you have the price at a certain level, it gets way overextended, and then that bubble pops and you basically return to the normal price, right? But in a trend, generally you're going to, if you're in an uptrend, you're going to set a higher low. Just like in a downtrend, you're going to set a lower high. And that's where, with that structure break, that's why that 786, 886 fib pocket works so well, is because it's basically the full retracement, but just not quite. It's just enough to be the respected level if the trend is going to continue very with a lot of strength. So hopefully that explanation kind of helps break down why we get so many of those fib pullbacks. Again, if you appreciate it, obviously, thumbs up does me a big favor. And again, if you want way more examples and you want to see exactly, you know, a bunch of my trade setups ahead of time, some of the trades I'm taking at the time, just my thoughts on the market in general, and just more examples of this, just so that you can really see how I look at market structure and how I pull those fibs. Like I said, not everyone's trading the 1 minute and the 5 minute like me, but I look at structure the same on longer time frames as well. So there is the steps down below in the description to join my private Telegram channel there, and as well this QR access code here. So how is everyone feeling about crypto right now? Litecoin's still looking weak to me, you guys. Love to see this trade playing out so well, because that was laid out well in advance. Trump's still looking weak. As the price goes down, I'm just going to follow the price with this big fib pull, obviously, for if we end up reversing. I'll probably actually get rid of it off my chart just to clean things up a little bit. But that's basically the thought, that moving forward, the lower the price goes, I'm just going to be pulling from this reversal up here, because that's currently our local top. And I'm just going to keep chasing the price as we go down if I'm looking for some sort of a bounce reversal point. That's kind of my thoughts there. Bitcoin, yeah, still struggling. See, even when we dropped out of that fib pocket, notice we came back up, tested 786 perfectly again. Seeing some weakness there. Oh, sorry, I was going to look at XMR. I'll check that out in a little bit. Sorry. Do you factor in seasonality of Bitcoin into your analysis, such as the amount of days post-halving, crypto summer versus crypto winter? Honestly, not overly. I am open to the idea of time analysis. That is honestly the one thing that makes me, I'm glad you brought that up. That is the one thing that makes me not like, I shouldn't say not overly bearish, because you guys know I am very bearish. But one thing that is still in the back of my mind is that I don't feel like the timing of this market cycle has played out yet. I feel like there's another 6 months to a year left in there. Actually, not quite. I would say more so the rest of 2025 basically is kind of what I was thinking initially. Yeah, 6 months to a year, I would assume, as far as the cycle timing goes. I agree with that. But so many things are different, and honestly, even with how the government is right now in the States and stuff, like comparing to what the government was doing last time Trump was in office compared to what they're doing this time in office are two very different things. And I don't know if a bunch of money printing and stuff like that is going to be in the cards this time, because it seems like they're more so wanting to cut back on unnecessary spending. So I don't know if everyone's going to have all that, extra income and stuff like that, a lot of inflation, stuff like that. So I don't know if people have the money this cycle to make it go as long or as parabolic. Also, bigger players in the space are going to move it in a much more controlled manner than previous market cycles, in my opinion. But again, happy to be wrong. We're just going to have to see what happens there. I'm more trading the shorter time frames anyways. It's just basically, I tell myself, one of my favorite trading strategies to trade is a double top with this overextended bearish divergence, just because of the size of move that it's capable of, which would be a full-on reversal, versus the potential loss is so minimal that it's a signal I take very serious every time on the 5-minute or the 1-minute or the 4-hour or anything. I always short that signal. So to see it on the weekly, I can't just ignore that. I mean, not saying this is going to happen again by any means, but that was the signal that ended the last bull market, when everyone was saying, you know, haha, you think we're bearish because or you think you were bearish and there's all these hedge funds getting in the space and all that kind of thing. Well, the charts didn't care. We attacked the same resistance level with significantly less strength, and that was the end of the cycle. I'm not saying that's happening again. You know, we got the signal back here. It was a 30% correction though, right? That's the thing. It was not a market ender. It was not a cycle ender, but it was a very nice correction to the downside. So that's why I just can't say that Bitcoin is going to go straight up from here. That's just kind of why I'm pumping the brakes and being a little bit cautious. With higher highs and lows, if you get a higher high on wicks, but the candle body is lower, which has the most weight? For me, I still think candle bodies do carry the most weight, but I do consider wicks a bit of a warning. And wicks, I will consider, if I'm using trend lines, for example, I like using wicks because it's the extremes of ranges and stuff rather than the average point and stuff like that, just for keeping my stop loss proper and whatnot. Candle bodies, I would say, are always stronger. But yes, I will still treat wicks like a bit of a warning, just like what I was talking about on the 4-hour before, right? Is that, hey, we did at least break this lower high here, but it's looking more like it was a liquidity grab because it just went straight back down below that level. I'd still consider it though, right? So even though there's just a wick above there, I still consider that, hey, it's possible we have bullish structure there. Again, it is just a wick. But I think it's even more likely with just a wick rather than a candle body. I think it's way more likely that we're going to test the bottom of the range again for that reason, just because that wick rather than a candle body is showing that much more weakness. That's kind of how I would compare the two. Hopefully that makes sense. Right, XMR I was gonna look at. That's XMR, that's Monero, right? Yeah. Oh man, that's one I have not looked at Monero in years. Literally years. There must be a way older chart than this. Yeah, there we go. Well, first thing I see right off the bat is there is obviously a very nice range broken here. That was quite a long horizontal range here. And I mean, what was the size of that? That was basically 100% range there, and we broke to the upside. That's a very nice breakout. I'm not gonna lie. I would say it looks better than Bitcoin right now, personally. That's interesting. That's a nice... And watch this, guys. Okay, just again, showing from our high back here, we get a slightly higher high. Let's pull a fib from our lowest point between the two to our range high. And look where we ended up finding support. Starting to see a common theme with how I do my analysis. So again, that's kind of what I'm teaching in my Telegram channel, just showing, you know, so many different structure breaks and how I look at those pullbacks like that. It's a very specific way that I look at charts, and really my favorite trading strategy. That's basically what I'm always doing. But yeah, if you are an active trader, get in that group. The QR code on the screen right there, steps in the description down below to join, if that's something that interests you. But yeah, that daily on Monero, that looks good in my opinion. Let's check out the 4-hour. The 4-hour, I do have my concerns, just because, although I think it's already played out once, there would have been technically a Stuber fib played to the downside there. See, again, you can find them all over the place, depends what kind of a range you're looking at. But here, for example, we would have had a high, higher low. We end up breaking that just by, even with a wick, we still get that Stuber fib respected, right? Where we got our first 2 targets. If you would have played the short there, or again, if you were looking at the more immediate little swing there, the micro trend, and you lost this, same thing. You get that pull back to the 786, 886. So yeah, we're getting back to that resistance level right now. But again, it's already played out once so far. So I don't know. I think the daily looked like it had nice momentum there. Trend master, higher sell signal, higher buy signal. There is still this lower high signal here, so it's showing I would pull a fib something like so for a new one. Something like that. So yeah, I mean, we are at resistance right now. But again, I do see some signs of bullishness. But as far as a short setup, I mean, at least you have a nice tight invalidation on something like this. A 3.8 to 1 risk reward if you use the local highs of that lower high signal there. Because basically, if we get above that lower high signal, then at that point, I'm not so sure this resistance is going to hold. Usually when we invalidate these pivotal points on my indicator here, you end up getting a nice little move there. So nice tight invalidation, because that's the thing, you guys, right? Trading isn't all about just winning every single trade. No trade setup is ever going to win every trade. The important part about trading is controlling your losses when they happen. And that's what fib pulls really help with, right? Your losses are going to be significantly smaller than if you're constantly looking for breakout trades, especially if you have a proper invalidation of, where that range has basically the opposite end of the range. Basically, if you're looking for invalidation, if you just have really tight ones for no actual structural reasons, then yeah, your loss could still be tight with a breakout play, but that's not necessarily a proper way because you'll end up getting stopped out repeatedly. But yeah, as far as risk reward, those are the setups I like. They're the ones where you're at least getting in very close to invalidation, so that you don't have to worry the loss is going to be very controlled when they happen. And that's also why I ladder into positions, you guys. When I outline a Stuber fib, yes, I understand I'm making a box, generally speaking, when I lay these out. Same within my Telegram group, you guys. When I'm laying out my boxes, something like that, that's more so the area I'm starting to ladder in, right? Being this one had a lower high signal here, yes, I was showing the invalidation just above this level, but a typical Stuber, I like to leave a little wiggle room even past the 115, so it's more so the 786, 886, the 1, and then a couple more entries up in here, so that it brings my average entry up significantly. So if I'm going to get stopped out, then it's going to be an even smaller loss than, let's say I put my whole position in here, for example. It's still going to be a fairly large loss up here. Whereas if I can pull my average entry up a little bit, then that's going to help the loss. And that doesn't mean doubling down, tripling down, and adding, multiplying my risk. It means that here's the amount I want to put on this trade. Now I'm going to break it up. And my smaller entries are going to be first. My bigger entries are going to be closer to my invalidation. So I'm going to drastically improve my average entry. Or I'll end up in a bit of a smaller position, and that's fine too. It's just a bit of risk management, right? This LTC trade is actually growing here. Perfect. Just gotta double check that on my other device here. Get some MSTR in the house. We were already on it. We were already on it. You'll have to go back and rewatch part of the stream. Oh, Bitcoin getting a nice little pump here, still struggling with resistance again. So this is one of those times, guys, right? Even though this Stuber fib did play out already because it hit the 0.5 fib. So yes, it is still at resistance. Resistance is resistance until it's broken, but just understand that there's an added level of risk if you were to retake this short, just because, you know, the more you test a level, generally the weaker it may be getting. So there is just that little bit of added risk. Whereas I find typically when I like to trade those setups, I like to take the first test, because so often the market makers are going to test that level. Even if it's not going to hold the second time, it at least gets some sort of an initial reaction. So that's why I love trading that level. Not always, obviously. That loses setups as well. But again, it's a control thing. Trump's still holding this beautiful downtrend here. Just loving this. See, guys, here's the thing. If you're an actual trader, you don't have to be scared of downside volatility. I understand a lot of people have a hard time changing their bias, and just understand that the market does not need to go up, right? Everyone's always concerned that, oh, it just needs to be a bull market for me. It needs to be a bull market for me. This bull market, and a lot of you guys probably know this by now, this bull market has been incredibly challenging to play compared to previous bull markets, because previous bull markets, you bought whatever trash and it just multiplied. This cycle, the altcoin market has been so diluted that it feels a bit like picking a lottery ticket, because, you know, most coins just kind of have their phases, but then they end up bleeding off eventually. There's just so many altcoins out there now, and there's million being printed created every single week. So the altcoin market's just getting so diluted that it's actually hard to pick a good one these days. Whereas, you know, come time for the bear market, we know every meme coin is going to get hammered, and we know that you can just basically YOLO a bunch of shorts into every meme coin and you'll do fine. But that's in the actual bear market, obviously. I'm not saying do that right now. Please don't twist my words. I'm not saying just do that, but I am very open to the idea of, I think the true altcoin season, where making money on altcoins is going to be easiest, is going to be when we get into our bear market. I think it's going to be so fun. And we are going to crush it in the Telegram channel. You guys know, for the last all of 2025, basically, I've been trading the short side so far. Even when we're getting those bounces, I've taken the odd long, but for the most part, I'm just waiting for broken structure on those bounces and then looking to get into some shorts from there. So yeah, I've been very much so just favoring the downside for the last month or two. And I can't wait for the actual bear market. It's going to be so much fun. There is such a special feeling towards making money towards the downside. And as well, the moves generally happen faster because people are fearful more than they're greedy, believe it or not. So yeah, we're going to be crushing it in there. So do yourselves a favor, scan that QR code, follow the steps in the description down below if that's something that interests you. We're going to be crushing it in there. Like I said, getting some very nice calls in there, and the odd one that doesn't play out, it's always a very tight invalidation compared to these beautiful runners that end up going, and just kind of showing how I'm doing that, the structure I'm looking at, how I'm pulling fibs, all that sort of stuff in there. XRP suck liquidity out of your favorite shit coins. I would say more so Trumpcoin sucked a bunch of liquidity out of your favorite shit coins. There's a sucker born every minute, absolutely. Yeah, Bitcoin's still struggling with that resistance a little bit. Trump's still just in a devastating downtrend here. I know everyone felt the FOMO on that 4-hour pump. But yeah, it is what it is. So far, it's looking like it was short-lived. Again, structure has actually been broken there for the first time in this coin's life. So maybe it carries on to the upside, but I don't know. With the lack of follow through here, I just have my concerns on it. A lot of people think that Trumpcoin was going to be a money printer. And honestly, if you've been bearish on it since $70, it has been. But I think it was a money printer the opposite direction that most people were thinking. Man, I'm still tempted to take that short on Monero, just because I think it is a tight invalidation there. Nah, I'm in enough shorts right now, I think. Also, that is a 4-hour chart, you guys know. Actually, let's zoom in a little bit. Let's see, can I find something more degenerate? Something more for me, more stew-sized. Yeah, seeing weakness on this. So this was basically our previous low here. This is our high, higher low. We end up breaking that, so we could pull a fib something like so. Let's just get a change of tunes here real quick. So if we get a pullback, we could get up to that resistance zone up there. In my opinion, that would be at least a nice opportunity for a nice tight stop loss short on XMR. I'm even tempted. Here, one sec. I'm even tempted to call it more so something like this. But just understand there's a little added risk there. The stop loss would be a little bit looser if you're using this as your invalidation. The bigger fib pull is obviously safer, but on the more immediate trend, it might actually be here. So if it's going to get front run, I'd expect it to get basically stopped around here. But I'd consider shorting it if we get up here. That's basically a typical Stuber setup. And don't, so here's guys, I know you might be saying, oh, I thought you only play it the first time. We've already played it a couple times. That's just tricking your eye a little bit, because since our fib extended to down here, we have not tested up here since. So whenever my fib pull gets extended by the range just getting bigger, I'm considering it refreshed, because it's actually a new range at that point. So that's why I'm still willing to look at short opportunities at a level like this. Am I bearish on the BTC dominance as well? Let's bring it up. I honestly haven't looked at it in a while. Let's take a look. Yeah, I am. Oh, actually, that was funny. My indicator brought up a Stuber fib here. I don't exactly agree with that one. I would actually be doing a bigger one, but it's funny that it's looking for the same thing, basically. So let's... Oh, looks like I need an update. That's weird that... There we go. So yeah, technically the Bitcoin dominance might be getting rejected there. That's just the 1 minute. Let's check out, let's look at something more reasonable here. Let's check out the 4 hour. Holy, that really shot up there for a little bit. How do I feel about this? There wasn't a recent loss of structure. Like, the thing is, on this immediate trend, I'd say the order block that pushed us up through resistance would have been actually like down here. So that's kind of the support level I'd be watching there for Bitcoin dominance. The fact that we had this high back here and obviously set a higher high, it's very possible that the Bitcoin dominance would end up pulling back. If I was treating this like a 5-minute Bitcoin setup, I'd be looking at longing it down here. So it's possible that this ends up dropping down here, in which case maybe that's nice for some of the altcoins, right? We'll see. But I'm just, me personally, yeah, I follow the Bitcoin dominance a little bit. I like to keep my trading simple, and I always just assume that the more things I try and throw into my analysis, there's just more places to mix something up or something to make me hesitate about a position that I'm already comfortable with, kind of a thing. Me personally, I treat every chart as its own. I know a lot of people are always looking for that edge and, oh, I need to follow these 5 different charts so that I know what this chart's going to do. I just feel like that's more steps where you can make a mistake. I keep my trading very simple. I just have my structure breaks followed by my Fibonacci pullbacks. And from there, you're either going to win the position or lose the position. If you lose, it's a controlled loss. If it takes off the right direction, then you have your couple of scalp take profits set and carry on from there. So it's a lot more stress-free and simple for me. A simple strategy for a simple guy, right? Yeah, Monero's struggling a little bit, but Litecoin still struggling here, still has that sell signal. Again, it is a higher sell. So I would actually, for people who are desperate for long positions, this is something I would at least consider. I'm personally not considering. I guess don't get that mixed up. Just the fact that since we have a higher sell signal, if we were going to get a higher buy signal kick in, I think it makes sense that we would end up setting a higher low kind of somewhere in this area. But again, I'm just more comfortable holding on to that short position just because I think the risk reward is to the downside, and especially that I already took some profits on that one. So still favoring the downside. And Trump, yeah, well, my opinion about Trump basically hasn't changed for a month now, or whenever, 2 days after it launched. Honestly, I would say in 2025, or at least, in the last 3 weeks for sure, I would say 90% of my trading has been shorting this coin, just shorting Trump. If it bounces, short the structure break. It bounces, short the structure break. That's basically been 90% of my trading lately. Yeah, and honestly, XMR, I don't trade XMR. Like I said, I haven't even looked at it since not even last market cycle. The one before was when I remember paying attention to it a little bit. So I don't follow it very clearly or anything. But yeah, just as far as a risk reward, I think there is the potential for that bearish setup. But again, zoom out even further, and the daily did break some nice structure. So it really depends what kind of time frames you're actually trading and stuff like that. Because again, it doesn't really matter what the market's actually doing. It doesn't matter which way you think it's going to go. All that matters is what your actual entry and exit strategy is. Other than that, it doesn't really matter. You can be wrong and still make money in this market. You can be very right and lose a bunch of money in this market. Lots of people do it. But yeah, beautiful. Man, this downtrend, this sell signal on the Trendmaster indicator has just been crushing this price right now. So anytime we get near it, it's just getting rejected. And again, that brings me back to why I have mentioned this strategy many times in the past. When I get this shift in trend, right? We go from, obviously we had a sell signal way back here, and we got a sell signal, we got a higher sell signal, we got a higher sell signal. But then what happens when we got a lower sell signal? It was just confirmation that the trend may be reversing there. So beautiful, beautiful confluence there. On Litecoin, anybody looking for some sort of a scalp entry? I mean, at this point, since we did break this lower low, right? We had this low, lower low. This would be the highest point between the two. So we could technically, as far as a scalp entry goes, we could look for resistance right around here. This fib pocket here, overlapping with the supply zone laid out by my indicator here. The thing is, this is just a scalp entry, nice tight stop loss if it gets stopped out. But I would say the safer bet is pulling the actual full range, right? That's That's basically the micro range setup. But I would say the safer bet if you're looking for a new short would be pulling from our local highs and just chasing the price to where it goes. And waiting for a 786, 886 retrace. Doesn't have to happen. The market does not need to push back up here. But that's just a potential setup there for where I think Litecoin could hit some resistance if we bounce. Anyways, guys, I think that's about all I wanted to go over today. So hopefully you guys did find this stream useful. If so, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And as I mentioned, if you want access to my private Telegram channel where I share my just some of my theories, some of my trade setups, there is a link in the description down below, as well as this QR code here. To access this channel, you must sign up to BloFin using my link. And there is a $300 deposit requirement. This is not a form of payment to me. This is your own money to trade with in your new BloFin account. So if that interests you, follow the process in the description down below. And with that, I'm out. Stay safe, my friends. Peace.